The May 12th Westfield Washington School Board of Trustees meeting is now in session. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We're glad to see so many of you here, and we have quorum. So please join us to stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. This evening, we're pleased to have several special awards and recognitions to celebrate. We first begin by inviting Dr. Crystal Thompson of our High Ability and English Learner Coordinator to come forward, along with Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Learning, Dr. Ryan Hoover, to recognize our National Math Stars.
All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. So tonight, Westfield Washington Schools is proud to recognize 12 outstanding third grade students who have been identified as the National Math Stars through a partnership between the Indiana Department of Education and the National Math Stars organization. So these students with us tonight have scored in the top 2% in mathematics across the entire state of Indiana, based on their iLearn assessment data. So this is such an incredible accomplishment, and we are very proud of all of their hard work, their dedication, and their achievement. At this time, as I call your name, I would like to invite each student to come forward to receive their certificate from Dr. Hoover. After receiving your award, please remain at the front so we can recognize all of our National Math Stars together. Owen Bennett. Flynn Mankey. Kailash Narn. Paige Wilson. Shamu Sheikh. Addie Saran. Oh, so sorry. Here you go, buddy. Congratulations. Get there. Andrew Kemp. Good job, Addie. Over here. Folahanmi Abayomi. Preston Rosinski. Grant Huntwork. Come here, Grant. There you go, Grant. Good job. Sophie Feast. And Elijah Johnston. So our National Math Stars, your journey in mathematics and learning is just beginning, and we know your future is incredibly bright. We are excited to see all that you will continue to achieve in the years ahead. Now, everyone, please join me in giving all of our National Math Stars a well-deserved round of applause for their outstanding achievement. Congratulations to you all.
All right, thank you and congratulations to all of our math stars. Job well done. They'll head out in the lobby and take some photos. All right, well, we will continue on with our next celebration segment, which is our Student of the Month. And so before we begin, just a few details. We have a professional photographer, Mr. David Dixon. He will be up here taking photography of the students as they receive your awards. And then at the end of this segment, we'll invite all the families out into the lobby for some refreshments, and you can get a picture with your student. Anyone that's come here to celebrate your student can get a picture by Mr. Dixon. So with no further ado, we welcome the Virginia F. Wood Early Learning Center.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marcy Dorado, the director of the Early Learning Center, and I cannot even begin to tell you how pleased I am to introduce James Fuller to you. As the director of the Early Learning Center, we get to see so many great kids every single day, and all of them touch our hearts. But sometimes one special guy comes along who melts everybody's heart. We don't have only these people here with us. His bus driver came right there. We've got a couple of other people in the back because he is such a great little guy. When James came to us a couple of years ago, he wasn't able to walk. He had almost no words. He does this excitement for us every day. He was excited to get on the bus, excited to get off the bus, excited to see us. And in those 2 years, James has begun to walk. He took his first real steps 3 or 4 months ago, and we all cried when he walked across our multi-purpose room to us. You can see him standing here now on his own. He also has learned a lot of words. I went in and read to his class a couple of weeks ago, and when I finished the book, he motioned that he wanted the book, and he opened it and turned it around to the other children in his room and said, "Okay, class." And he called a couple of the children by their names, but as a teacher might do, he looked at one little girl that he knows very well and said, "What's your name?" So he was doing the teacher thing. He is going to be fantastic in kindergarten. I do want to tell you what his teacher has to say about him. His teacher says, "James has attended the ELC in my class for 2 years. He's such a positive and vibrant little boy. He always greets everyone with such happiness and love. He gives praise to his peers when they are doing hard work and greets everyone individually by name. James has become more courageous this school year and has started trying new things, even when they may be hard or a little scary. Just in the last couple of months, James has started working hard to take his own steps and walk independently. He continues to get stronger every single day." And along with the teachers in the room and all of the support staff that are with him every day, his mom and dad are the best, and they've helped support us and supported him all along the way. So please help me congratulate James.
Congratulations to James. Next, we invite Carrie Ridge.
Good evening. Before we get started in recognizing Cherish, I just want to say something very quickly. Marcy, where is Marcy? Did she leave? She just presented, and Rob Hedges. If you could stand, Rob, I'd appreciate it. Yeah. They're both retiring. This is going to be their last official school board meeting. We just want to say thank you for all that you've done for Westfield. Thank you both. Okay, now to Cherish. So we have a special guest tonight from Cary. I have Julie Christ, who is Cherish's teacher, and Jill McKinney, our counselor, here with us tonight. We're so proud of Cherish and what she has become, has done at Cary, and the growth that she has had. We are very, very lucky to recognize such a special person tonight. So Mrs. Christ is going to read a statement about Cherish, and then we'll recognize her together.
Hello. Today we are so excited to recognize you, Cherish, as our Student of the Month for Perseverance at Cary Ridge. Even though, Cherish, you are new this year, it really feels like you have been part of our school family for years. From the moment she hops off the bus every day, she brings the biggest smile, positivity, and excitement to everyone around her. Her laugh is contagious. She has a way of making people smile just by being herself. Cherish has such a kind and caring heart. She's a wonderful friend to others and brings so much joy to our classroom every day. She loves singing, being creative, making crafts, and sharing unique ideas. Those out-of-the-box thinking ideas and enthusiasm makes our school a better place, and I honestly can't imagine our classroom without you this year. This year, she has shown so much perseverance. Starting a new school can be hard, but she continued to work hard every day and literally joined every club imaginable and kept going when things were difficult. We've watched you grow academically, Cherish, and we've also watched your confidence grow, and it's been amazing to see these friendships. A quote that reminds us of you, Cherish, is, "Difficult roads can lead to beautiful destinations." And we are so happy you're here in Westfield. So Cherish, we are so proud of your joy, your kindness, your determination, and everything you bring to Cary Ridge every day. Congratulations, and I can't be more proud of the human you've become this year.
Congratulations. Next, we invite Maple Glen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Buzan, and I am the proud principal of Maple Glen Elementary, and I am thrilled to introduce you all to our Student of the Month, Edith Voren. And we are joined today by her teacher, Mr. Ginder, and her teacher, Mrs. Gray. And we have some really great things to share about Edith. Edith has been at Maple Glen since she was in kindergarten. So when I shared that Edith was our Student of the Month, every one of your teachers responded and wanted to say some great things about you. But the theme that I heard throughout was Edith is creative, she is kind, she is resilient, and she works really hard. So one of the things that your teachers have said is that you have a joyful spirit, you have a creative brain, and an infectious smile. From kindergarten through third grade, Edith has shown resiliency and has become a confident leader who brings curiosity wherever she goes. Her teachers, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade, all said that she has amazing creativity and a big imagination. She loves sharing her passions and ideas with others, and her excitement for learning is really fun to watch. Mr. Ginder, when he recommended Edith for our Student of the Month, he said that she has shown tremendous personal growth. She has worked academically, Socially and emotionally, she's learned to problem solve, express her feelings, use calming strategies, and persevere through her challenges, even when things are difficult. Edith's growth may not have always been in a straight line, but she's continued to bounce back with determination, courage, and a willingness to keep trying. Edith, we are so proud of you. You bring brightness wherever you go, and we love having you at Maple Glen.
Congratulations. Next, we invite Monon Trail.
All right, good evening, everybody. I'm Jeremy Marvel. I'm the principal at Monon Trail Elementary School, and we are super excited to celebrate our student of the month, Olivia Park, first grader in Mrs. Scheinman's classroom. And amazing kiddo, amazing family. In talking with Olivia today, she kind of knew what to expect because she said, well, my little sister got this at the ELC last year. So I'm like, oh my gosh, look at you guys go. So Mrs. Scheinman gave me a few things to share with everyone. As Olivia's first grade teacher, it is my absolute honor to celebrate her as our student of the month. I have had the joy of watching Olivia grow and shine every single day, and I can say with confidence that she is one of the most genuinely sweet and kind children I have ever had the pleasure of teaching. From the moment Olivia walks through my classroom door each morning, she brings a sense of warmth and calm that lifts the entire room. I am always impressed by the way she treats her classmates with patience, empathy, and a gentle spirit that is truly rare for her age. She has a gentle nature that makes everyone around her feel welcomed and valued, and she leads by example in the most humble and beautiful way. She's a student who's always following expectations. She does so with grace and a smile. I never have to worry about Olivia. She's very responsible, respectful, and always ready to learn. She sets a wonderful example for everyone around her, and her classmates look up to her because of the kind of caring person she is. One of my favorite things about Olivia is her genuine love for learning. She appreciates every lesson, approaches every lesson with curiosity and enthusiasm that is truly contagious. Her eagerness to discover her new things and give her very best effort every single day make her an absolute joy to teach. As a teacher, there is nothing more rewarding than a student who truly loves being in the classroom, and Olivia embodies that every day. With the school year coming to an end, I find myself already dreading saying goodbye to Olivia. She is the kind of student who leaves a lasting mark on your heart, and I know that whoever has the privilege of being her teacher next year is going to be so lucky to have her. I will truly miss her bright smile, her kind heart, and the light she brings to our classroom each and every day. Congratulations, Olivia. You are so deserving of this honor, and I could not be more proud of you. Join me in celebrating Olivia Park.
Congratulations, Olivia. Next, we invite Oak Trace.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jane Hitch, the proud principal at Oak Trace. You'll notice I'm up alone up here. I have to share about Lyndon Ferlano, our student of the month, but she is living her best life right now. Our fourth grade is at Camp Tecumseh, and they are living like pioneers. So she is making candles and digging up worms to fish and do all of those things. I'm jealous I didn't get to go this year, but Mr. Feckerty is keeping him busy and checking him out, and her teacher is there with her too. So our fourth graders are having a great time. We celebrated her yesterday at Oak Trace and gave her her award. She's amazing, and I'm so sorry you don't get to meet her tonight. She's just wonderful. I will read a few things from some of her teachers about what they said about Lyndon. She's a hard worker. She has shown growth across all academic areas this year. We are so proud of her, and because of her positive attitude. She just has a great attitude towards learning. She's going to do big things in life, according to Mrs. Ewan, her third grade teacher, and her big heart and kind spirit are what attracts everybody to her. She is a hard worker, she is a model citizen, and she goes out of her way to include others. We love her infectious smile. Mrs. McAndrews, her fourth grade teacher, says that she, not a day passes that she doesn't share her smile and positivity with others. She's a wonderful friend, encouraging others to be kind and to include all. And she works hard in all areas and has made significant gains in all academic areas. We're just so proud of her, and I hope you get to meet her someday when she's not out there digging up worms. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause anyway.
All right, congratulations. Next, we invite Shamrock Springs.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rob Hedges, principal of Shamrock Springs, and we have Mrs. Bertram, first grade teacher, for Andy Meisner, who's our student of the month. And Andy, out of almost 670 students, Andy, do you know who was chosen for our student of the month? Me. Yeah, Andy was such a humble kid. So many things we could share about him. But Mrs. Bertram wrote a few very kind and truthful words. In 26 years of teaching, I have never had a more hardworking student. Through challenges and goal setting, Andy makes every minute count by giving his personal best. He has a desire for learning and can light up a teacher's heart, a desire built on curiosity and a natural ability to explore the world around him. Now, Andy, this next part is just for you, so I'm going to turn around and share this. Andy, you are going to do great things in this world. Please never stop believing in yourself. You are capable, powerful, and extremely smart. Don't ever let anyone take your belief in yourself away from you. All that matters is knowing who you are, knowing that you can make any of your dreams possible, and knowing that your hardest work can accomplish these dreams. Remember that the mistakes you make along the way will only help you grow stronger. Focus on doing the right thing and treating others well, and you can become the leader I know you are capable of being. I will always believe in you and love you. With love and pride, Mrs. Bertram. Let's congratulate Andy as our student of the month.
Congratulations, Andy. Next, we invite Washington Woods.
All right, ready? Let's try. Good evening. My name is Libby Baud. I am the principal at Washington Woods Elementary, and I am here this evening with a very special friend, Miss Natalie. She's one of our kindergartners, and we're joined here by Mrs. Sundo, who nominated her for our month. Each month, every class honors a student who has showed leadership skills, characteristics that show the best version of themselves, and we try to celebrate their growth. And this month, we had a winner from every class, but Natalie is the one we wanted to honor special tonight. So I'm very proud of you. Do you want to hear what Mrs. Sundo had to say? Yeah, we've got some special words here. She shared that Natalie has grown so much since the beginning of the year. She works hard and gives her best effort every single day. Not only does she do a fantastic job following directions, but she is also a kind friend to others. That's really important. While she loves to play at recess, she has also shown an incredible perseverance in the classroom. Natalie is learning that while mastering letter sounds and reading can be challenging, she has the power to do it. Keep up the amazing work, Natalie. We're very proud of you. join me in celebrating Natalie today.
Congratulations to Natalie. Next, we invite Westfield Intermediate School.
Good evening. My name is Annette Patchett, and I'm here with one of our fabulous fifth grade teachers, Lexi Saunders, and we are here to celebrate Frank Wright. Frank, not only are you Student of the Month, but this is the very last Student of the Month for the intermediate school, so that makes it extra special. So when Frank joined our fifth grade class, he was what many would describe as a man of few words. He quietly observed, took things in, and seemed content staying in the background. But over time, Frank found his voice, one that others now looked to for guidance, encouragement, and leadership. Today, Frank is the cornerstone of our classroom community. His peers naturally turn to him for advice and support. Whether it's offering a kind word, stepping in to assist a classmate, or simply making sure no one feels left out, Frank consistently shows what it means to lead with empathy and compassion. He has an incredible ability to make everyone feel seen, valued, included, no matter the situation. What stands out about Frank is his heart. He genuinely cares, not only about his own success, but about the success and happiness of those around him. He advocates for himself and for others. He holds himself to high standard and continuously pushes himself to grow. Frank has shown that leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the one who lifts others up, leads by example, and who quietly but powerfully makes a difference every single day. Please congratulate Frank Wright as Westfield Intermediate School's last Student of the Month. Pretty awesome.
Congratulations, Frank. Next, we invite Westfield Middle School.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stacy Swan. I'm principal at the middle school, and I'm here with Lauren Smith, one of our amazing teachers at the middle school. And we are fortunate enough to spend each day with incredible 7th and 8th graders, and one of our very best is Mia Marquez. And we're going to recognize her this evening, and her teachers were so excited to talk about how amazing she is that I can only read out loud just a few of them and then give Mrs. Smith a chance to tell about her reasons why you're such an amazing student. So I'm going to start, Mia's a student athlete as well, and so I'm going to start with our SALT, which is our Student Leadership Academy, and Mr. McGay. He says, Mia was selected by her tennis coach last season to be a part of our student athlete leadership at WMS. She has been the perfect student athlete to join our team. Mia is always seeking opportunities to serve at sporting events, trying to learn how to be even better as a leader, constantly shows support for all of her teammates. When we search for a student athlete to be a part of this team, Mia is exactly the person we are looking for. And then Mrs. Sherman says, Mia is such a kind-hearted human being. Each morning and evening before she leaves, she says good morning and have a good night to each teacher individually. She is an awesome addition to not only our Eagles team, but Westfield Middle School as well. Mia is an outstanding math student and willing to work, help, and guide others in our classroom and beyond. That is from Mrs. Sherman. And then the final one I'm going to read is from Mrs. Genta. When you think of the perfect student and could copy and paste it into one person, it would be Mia. She has put nothing but her best effort into everything she has done. Mia is a student that you want every year because she radiates nothing but positivity and kindness. I am so proud of her accomplishments this year and can't wait to see what the future holds for her. And whatever she does, it will be amazing. Now, Mrs. Smith.
Every time Mia comes up in a conversation with her teachers, the next words are, wow, I wish we had 1,000 Mias, or I wish I could just clone her. And that's because of who Mia is as a person. Not only has she mastered English, I think faster than anybody I've ever seen, and consistently gets amazing grade and test scores, but she is kind. She's a mentor to other students when they struggle. She's the first to help with peers' social problems or school problems, and she has mature advice that's wise beyond her years. We have been so lucky to have Mia at the middle school. She's going to do amazing things in high school, but I'm going to miss her a lot next year.
We are definitely going to miss her. Let's celebrate Mia.
Congratulations. And next we invite Westfield High School.
Good evening. My name is Alicia Deniston. I'm principal at Westfield High School. And last but certainly not least, I want to present to you this evening our student of the month, Avi Arun. And he is a junior this year, but mature even beyond your years from what I'm learning from our staff. And he was nominated by multiple staff members. At the high school, we're really looking for that standout student who has demonstrated excellence in academics, as well as strong character. But I think really what we're looking for most is who is really positively impacting the peers around him. And Avi, you came to mind for many staff members. And so I want to tell you a little bit about Avi. I'm excited to learn that you have pre-med aspirations. He still has time, but he's looking at Northwestern University as a place he might like to attend. He's been involved in numerous activities at Westfield High School, but highlights he's loved his speech and debate experiences, DECA, swim, and student government. But I love that you said what's meant more than any of those accomplishments and accolades that you've earned, it's that you've been able to mentor and guide others. So I think that's really epitomizes why he was chosen for the award. I'm just going to read, several staff members wrote some nice things. I'm just going to read a couple of them, okay? So Michelle Gowdy, who is one of our DECA advisors, says WHS DECA was proud that Avi represented our chapter and our state on the stage at DECA's ICDC. So this is the national competition, not just the state level, but national here. Not only did he finish in the top 10 worldwide, but he also supported his fellow chapter members during the announcement. So was really looking out and cheering them on, which is so telling. I also chose to read what Mr. Miracle had to say, who had you in both AP Psych as well as mentoring, and says, Avi was an absolute joy to have in class. We appreciated how Avi was always asking intentional questions and looking for ways to grow as a student. We are also excited to have him serve as a freshman mentor for his upcoming senior year. Thank you, Avi, for the positive impact you have had on so many at WHS. And I'm really excited that I don't have to say goodbye to you next week, that I can continue to see all that you accomplished. So on behalf of me, but then the staff at Westfield High School, congratulations, Avi. We are really proud of you.
Congratulations to all of our students of the month. We have one more special award before we break for refreshments. This is a quarterly highlight that we get to participate in by sharing Rock Strong Awards with our partners with Everwise Credit Union and the Westfield Education Foundation, who sponsor these awards. So at this time, I'll invite Ashley Knott, Executive Director of the Westfield Education Foundation, and representatives from Everwise Credit Union to present this quarter's Rock Strong Awards.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Knott with the Westfield Education Foundation, and the foundation right now is celebrating our 40th anniversary, which means we're celebrating our educators and our students, and we get to do some wonderful things when we walk alongside our students. We just recently gave away 77 teacher grants in April, so that was pretty fun. We got to go into a lot of classrooms and surprise some teachers. And next Tuesday night, we're going to give away 87 scholarships. So 12% of the graduates of the class of 26 will get a scholarship from the foundation. So that's pretty cool. We couldn't do that without our partners, our community partners, our families, our donors. So we just always want to say thank you for them walking along and helping us. Tonight, one of our partners and our donors is Everwise Credit Union, and they get to make tonight happen, our Rock Strong Awards, where we get to recognize our staff. So thank you, Catherine and Julia, for being here tonight. All right, we'll get started. So Kim Stalter from Cary Ridge Elementary School. Come on up, Kim. Kim has truly shown what it means to be rock strong. This year, during her time away, the absence of her joy, her energy, and positivity was deeply felt throughout the building. When she returned, the smiles and excitement from students said it all. Kim's passion, poise, and commitment inspired our students every day, and her impact on our school community is undeniable. Thank you for the light and the encouragement you bring to our students and staff every day. Thank you for being rock strong. They'll take your picture. They're gonna take your picture. Michelle Pate from Maple Glen Elementary School. Michelle is an incredible advocate for students, always supporting their academic and personal growth with patience, compassion, and dedication. She is especially impactful with multilanguage learners, helping students build confidence and succeed. For nearly 15 years, Michelle has also coached Maple Glen's Spell Bowl team, leading students to more than 10 state championships. Her ability to inspire, support, and motivate students is truly remarkable, and our school community is grateful for all she does. Thank you for being rock strong. Ariel Pillow from Monon Trail Elementary School. Miss Pillow is the epitome of patience and grace. She meets her students where they are and is by their side for their ups and their downs of their journey. It is easy to trust and to know that she has the students' best interest at heart. She made such an impact on many students in her first 2 years at Monon, and we hope she knows how much she is valued. She is doing what she was placed on this earth to do. Thank you for being rock strong. Kendall Wilkes from Oak Trace Elementary. Ms. Wilkes is the teacher you dream for your child. She is kind, loving, and works hard to cater to the needs of each individual student. She goes above and beyond to make sure the students feel safe and loved and are encouraged in all they do. She advocates for her students, volunteers for many activities, and makes learning fun and meaningful. Thank you for being rock strong. Cassandra Wheeler from Shamrock Springs Elementary School. Cassandra's impact reaches far beyond K-4 technology classroom. Through engaging school announcements, innovative teaching, hands-on learning, opportunities like 3D printing, she helps build and connect positive school culture. Her professionalism, collaboration, and dedication to student success truly embodies what it means to be Rock Strong. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Tyler Archer, Washington Woods Elementary. This is from a parent. As both a Washington Woods parent and staff member, I've seen firsthand the incredible impact Tyler has made in less than a year. His positivity, his joy, and his ability to connect with everyone, from students and parents to staff, make people feel valued and supported. Tyler's flexibility, teamwork, and passion for helping whenever needed truly embody what it means to be Rock Strong. He is a tremendous asset to our school community. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Chris Rubel from Westfield Intermediate School. Mr. Rubel has quickly become an incredible asset at Westfield Intermediate School. His genuine care for students, strong relationships, and engaging teaching style create a supportive environment where students thrive. Even as a new member of Westfield Washington Schools, he's already made a lasting impact that truly embodies what it means to be Rock Strong. One parent shared that because of Mr. Rubel, their child is now excited to go to school every day, more engaged in learning than ever. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Alyssa Birch from Westfield Middle School. Alyssa is quiet but an impactful leader who leads with care, professionalism, and confidence. As a math team leader, she builds strong collaboration and is highly respected by her peers. In the classroom, she balances high expectations with engaging instruction and unwavering support for your students. Alicia truly embodies what it means to be Rock Strong, and Westfield Middle School is lucky to have her. John Majors, Westfield High School. A parent shared, Mr. Majors is a caring educator who creates a safe, engaging, and respectful learning environment. He went above and beyond to help my son not only in biology, but also in principles of biomed, helping strengthen his confidence and his love for science. We are also grateful for many ways he invests in our students' life through his work in theater as a theater director and auditorium director. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Cody Christensen, operations. Cody exemplifies what it means to be Rock Strong. He is a Westfield graduate, a valued member of our facilities and maintenance team. Cody consistently goes above and beyond to support our school and community. He's hardworking, dependable, and always willing to lend a hand whenever needed. Whether it means coming in early or staying late or stepping up to tackle unexpected challenges, Cody approaches every task with positivity and work-strong ethics. His kindness and dedication and commitment to others help make a lasting impact on both his coworkers and his students. We are so glad that you're Rock Strong. Whitney Hart, the Early Learning Center. Whitney is an exceptional support to students, bringing a positive attitude and helping children in many areas beyond speech. She has stepped in to support an understaffed classroom during family emergencies, helping maintain routines, consistency, and a safe learning environment so students could continue to thrive. Whitney consistently goes above and beyond, and she is truly deserving of this recognition. Congratulations, Whitney. Take a picture. Cooper Gilliott, BAC. Cooper has shown a strong dedication and lasting impact in the BAC program, beginning in high school and continuing through college. He builds meaningful connections with students, creates a positive environment, and is a dependable team member. His patience, kindness, and genuine care for students sets him apart, and we are grateful for his commitment he brings every day. Thank you for being Rock Strong. Kevin McCormick. This is a special recognition tonight. He's a substitute, and for nearly 27 years, Kevin McCormick has been a reliable and dedicated substitute teacher for Westfield Washington Schools. He has constantly brought kindness, flexibility, and a positive attitude to every classroom, ensuring students' continued meaningful learning. His long-standing commitment has made a lasting impact across the district. As he retires, we thank Kevin for his service and dedication. He truly embodies what it is to be Rock Strong. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you to everyone receiving a Rock Strong Award. We appreciate all you do for our schools. It is the end of the year, so we do have two special recognitions to add to our agenda tonight. And the next one is very special to everyone here that knows and love Dr. Joe Montalone. So I will ask Dr. Atha to please introduce this award.
Thank you, Madam President. The Dr. Joe Montalone Award honors Westfield Washington Schools team members who embody and promote a culture of positivity, collaboration, and service throughout the Shamrock community. Named in recognition of Dr. Joe Montalone's lasting impact on our schools and community, this award celebrates individuals who consistently uplift others and make a meaningful difference across our difference. This is the third time this distinguished award has been presented since Dr. Joe, since we established it upon his retirement. So making this a especially meaningful honor for those who receive it. So I'd like to invite Dr. Joe Montalone up to the front. He's in the house, I heard, so let's have him up here. There we go.
Take Carrie's mic. Turn it on.
Testing. There we go. Took me a moment. Okay. Dr. Montalone, thanks for being here. It's good to see you. It is my honor and my privilege to announce this year's Dr. Joe Montalone Award winner, Rob Hedges. Come on up, Rob. I want you to say a few words about Rob. Dr. Joe's going to say a few words about Mr. Hedges.
Right here. Tonight's for everybody and also for Big Rob Hedges. I've known Rob for well over 25 years. So it's interesting when I got the notification that this award was going to go to him because there is no one that could be better suited for this. Uplifting others, that's Rob. Years ago, we were working on some different formative assessments. Rob was a teacher in Carmel. I was, before that, a principal at Shamrock Springs, and Rod had 4 kids. 2 sets of twins. He almost needs a round of applause for that. But got to know him there, and then when we started the assessment process, he was involved directly with that. And it was one of those things where I kept up with him, he kept up with me. I went to visit him at Creekside Middle School with his students, and he's just a teacher and a servant at heart. And that's one of the many things I love about him. So when it came time to hire an assistant principal, we went through the interview process objectively. And Rob came to the forefront, and it was like, holy cow, Joe, you don't make very many good decisions in your life, but you better hire this guy. And I did. And he pushed me to be as good a principal as I ever could be. And then we followed each other through our careers and worked together on numerous projects. And his beautiful wife, Stacy, and his 4 kids, and you're a grandfather too, right? Whoa. Joe's not there yet. But Rob has left an impression on everyone that he meets. He literally is the sweetest guy that I've ever met, platonically speaking. And it's been an honor to work with you, to be beside you, to know you, and understand that upon your retirement this year, our relationship will go on forever. And that just warms my heart, because it's odd saying after a ward that is named after me, you're so deserving and thankful. You know what I mean, right? Think about it. Kind of an oddity. Everybody gets one of those but me. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I don't want one. But I'll take it. But no, Rob, you're the best. Love you, brother, and congratulations, and good luck on your future. Also, Marcy, are you here? Worked with Marcy many years. Oh, yes. And she's retiring, so kudos and congratulations to you. And when people will ask you what's retirement like, you will honestly say, when it's your time, do it, because you're going to love it. And that is so true. So, Rob, congratulations, brother.
All right. Dr. Hoover, I'll keep it under a minute, all right? He's our timer. Words they just can't express my gratitude. I'm even looking across the audience right now. So many people that I've worked with, taught with, led with. It's just beyond words how thankful I am. But knowing that none of this could ever have happened without this man right here, Dr. Joe. So appreciative of him. You know, he's taught me so much as a professional, but just as much so as a man. And it just means the world to me. So thank you all. Thank you, Westfield. It's been an absolute honor serving everyone.
We do have a plaque that hangs out in the hallway there with the recipients' names on it. So, Rob, you're joining the group there.
Wonderful. Congratulations, Rob. Thanks for your dedication and lasting impact on Westfield Washington Schools. We're incredibly grateful for your years of service to staff, students, and the community. And we have one final presentation before we dismiss for photos in the lobby. At this time, we would like to invite our Westfield High School exchange students to come forward. So if you'd please come forward, we are going to be presented with a certificate of appreciation to the Westfield Washington Schools. So welcome to our exchange students.
So this is amazing. These are our exchange students from Westfield High School. So I'm going to hand you the mic. You're going to introduce yourself and where you're from, correct? Okay.
Hello everyone, good evening. I'm Aslı and I'm from Turkey.
Hello everyone, I'm Sophia and I'm from Spain.
Hello everyone, I'm Sweetie and I'm from India.
Hello everyone, I'm Tao Matthew and I'm from France.
Hello everyone, I'm Adi Singha and I'm from India.
We have a little talk. Can we do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening everyone again. As I said, I'm Aslı and I started my school year in August 22nd. And when I started school, everybody already had their classes and friend groups. What I'm trying to tell is like everybody had their life and high school year started when I arrived. But since the first day, I feel really belonged here with like multiple people, all the students and all the staff supported me so much, and I'm so grateful for that. I can't tell you how much this means to me. And including kindergarten, I've been a student for more than 11 years, and I've never felt this precious and this valuable and this seen in my own country. So thank you so much.
I arrived at the very beginning of the school year, and from day one I felt very welcomed by everyone. Even when I felt a lot of homesickness, teachers, students, and my host parents made me feel very welcomed. Most of the days it does feel like I'm living in a movie, riding the yellow school buses and attending prom. So thank you everyone for making us feel welcome.
Yeah, like Asla said, we started our school year a little bit late, and it was really nervous in a new environment, in a big, really, really big school, and you get lost when you close your eyes. But yeah, it was like an incredible journey where you get to meet a lot of people. I had a lot of fun classes like ceramics, art, and I saw how these doors were really open and wide that welcomes us, and there are teachers who encourage you and lead you and be there for you, and that was another thing that was really comforting for us. And we had our host families who were really welcomed, and they made us feel home, and like Sophia said, it really felt like a movie. Thank you guys.
I think this year was like one of my favorite year of my life. Everybody at school was kind. It's not real how I expected it to be, because it's like in the movie and everything, there is like a bully, everything, but like here, here everybody is kind, the teachers, the students, like inclusive, they understand, I thank you very much for this year, that was incredible.
Hello everyone and namaste. I'm from India. My arrival date was similar to Asla and a lot of the other students. I came in a frenzy state. I took a lot of classes and I was very clueless and I was overwhelmed and I was underwhelmed and all the possible things that I could possibly imagine as a senior. But the teachers, the staff, Principal Deniston, everyone was very, very supportive of everything. I'm just kind of like, I'm trying to produce my words because it's just falling short of those, because I was thinking, what am I gonna say here? But now that I'm here, I just want to show my appreciation to all the guidance counselors, the staff. Westfield definitely felt like a movie, but it felt more like home to me. Hoosier hospitality was best shown here. I worked with a few senators in the Indiana Senate, and whatever he said about Hoosier hospitality, that was best shown in Westfield. So thank you so much for hosting us, and I hope you keep doing this.
And we would like to invite Principal Deniston to stage to give our certificate.
Yeah. So a couple things. Just they wanted to come and present a certificate of appreciation and express that. But the thing for us, the Board of Trustees, in this last meeting, right, we want to showcase the amazing students and teachers we have in Westfield. And something that we work really hard on is welcoming everyone, right, and creating a strong sense of belonging. Learning begins when you feel like you belong. And so we appreciate you sharing that, and we hope you felt that, and thank you, and we will continue. And to the host families, this does not happen without host families. So the host families, if you want more information, I think Jennifer Hill's here, but they're waving in the background. If you're interested in host families, they're here, wave your hands, but thank you very much.
All right, thank you all, and best wishes to our exchange students as they journey home. At this time, we'll invite all of our guests and award recipients to the lobby for professional photography and refreshments, and we will reconvene the public hearing and business portion of our meeting in 15 minutes. The public comment items on the agenda, we actually did not have any cards, so we can skip over those rules. And we will move to the approval of the consent agenda. And the consent agenda includes board minutes, accounts payable vouchers, payroll vouchers, personnel report, overnight and/or out-of-state field trips, routine contract renewals. And all items on the consent agenda have been reviewed by the board in advance of the meeting and are approved in a single motion. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Carrie. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion or any questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Chris Baldwin for special recognition.
Thank you, President Ogle, members of the board. We do have a special presentation. This has been the case the last few board meetings with the Early Learning Center. But with the shuffling and people moving up to new positions, we are filling our final position in administration at the Early Learning Center. We would like to welcome Ashley Harris to the Westfield family. Ashley will be the new assistant principal in charge of BAC and our student support programs. Ashley comes to us after time in Noblesville as an instructional coach and also as a teacher. So we'd like to welcome Ashley Harris to the Westfield family and the ELC. Thank you.
Thank you to members of the school board for this incredible opportunity to serve as assistant principal, director. I don't think you guys know yet the difference. At the Early Learning Center. I'm truly honored and excited to join your team. 18 years ago, Dr. Atha hired me in Noblesville, and it just serves and feels so comforting that the next 18 years I get to work under your leadership here in Westfield. I'm incredibly excited for this next chapter. I look forward to supporting students, staff, and families, serving this community and with enthusiasm and joy, and I'm ready for this next chapter. So thank you so much.
Congratulations and welcome.
I just want to, like, the connections I just made there with Ashley, but I also need to note that I did supervise one semester for her internship for her administrative license as well, and her attention to detail and how conscientious she is and how well she did was amazing. So when they said that she was the top candidate, I was like, let's hire her. So welcome.
All right, we also want to give thanks and appreciation to the Westfield Education Foundation. One of the grants and donations that we approved tonight included a grant from the foundation to Westfield Washington Schools totaling 77 Jumpstart teacher grants that totaled $35,442.82. This goes to support classrooms during the district's 2026 rebalancing. The funds will help teachers address new needs and enhance the learning process across wellness, literacy, core academics, and the arts. So our appreciation to the Education Foundation.
That, I just want to note, and again, thank Ashley and the foundation, that number, based on our partnerships and her fundraising, doubled over the years. So we were able to honor twice as many as we thought we were going to back at the beginning of the year. So that's amazing, and I know the teachers appreciate that, and they'll put them to good use, helping our students learn and grow.
Absolutely. Now we move to business and operations, and the first item on the agenda is the 2026 Notice of Destruction forms, and Dr. Greg Hunt will present this item for the board's consideration.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, this is something that you as board members approve each year, but it's really an important step that we need to follow. Per Indiana law, we must have board approval before we submit our request to destroy public records. Which records can be destroyed is highly regulated by law, and Marshall Bohannon, our comptroller in the district, monitors our compliance with the statutes. Attached is the list of documents to be destroyed. Upon this approval, the paperwork will be submitted to the county for final approval. Shredding of the documents is expected to occur then in June. As a fiscal note, the only thing, the fiscal impact of this is actually the cost of the shredding. But I ask at this time that the administration recommends that the School Board of Trustees approve the 26 destruction of public records per Indiana law as presented.
All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2026 destruction of public records per Indiana law as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Amber. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2026 destruction of public records per Indiana law. Is there any discussion or any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the food service procurement approval for the 2026-2027 school year. Dr. Greg Hunt will also present this recommendation.
Thank you again, Madam President. Each year, again, about this time, the procurement process for our food service department needs to be adhered to. Because it's federal guidelines, because this is a federal program, there are certain stipulations that we must follow as a school district in which to award bids as far as the procurement of our supplies and our commodities within our food service department. So you will see a list tonight of those particular recommendations. We use CLIC, which is our leading Indiana cooperative that basically does all the procurement. They puts those things together. And so this is what is being approved tonight, the information that was provided to us from CLIC. So this evening I ask that the board approve the following. Mainline distributor, U.S. Foods Premier. This is the RFP. This is year one. Fresh Produce. It's Piazza Produce and Specialty Foods. This is a renewal of year 3. Fresh Fruits and Vegetables Program. D&O Produce and U.S. Foods. This is, again, year 3 renewal. Dairy Bids 1 and 2, Dairy Farmers of America, and this is year 4 of the renewal. Dairy Bids 3 and 4, Prairie Farms. This is year 2 of the renewal. Fresh Bakery Bids 1 and 2, Alpha Bakery and Klosterman Bakery. This is year 3 of the renewal. Snack and Beverages, Commercial Food Systems. This is year 1. Frozen Novelties, Velvet Ice Cream. This is year 4 of the renewal. Branded Pizza Program, Smart Mouth Pizza, RFP, year 4 renewal. K-12 Sanitation Program, Smart Systems. This is year 3. And Beverages with Delivery, it's Keurig Dr. Pepper, and this is in year 1. And so at this time, I ask that the board approve the Food Service Department's procurement recommendations for the 26-27 school year.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Food Service Department's procurement recommendations for the 2026-2027 school year as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Carrie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. It's been moved and seconded to approve the Food Service Department's procurement recommendations for the 2026-2027 school year. Is there any discussion or any questions?
Greg, do we do this every year? I can't remember.
We do. We have to have it approved each year. Yes.
Yes. I just don't remember this list of the different categories.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it needs to be, yeah, it should be approved each year.
Okay.
And so, the State Board of Accounts would do any type of audits, and any federal programs, they would look to see the procurement and what procurements were followed, so.
No, that makes sense. And then how come there's 2 different dairy ones?
They're just 2 different providers, I mean, different types of dairy, so, yeah, and so that procurement, those two particular vendors were listed in those.
Cool, okay,
Yes.
no more questions.
Hey, no problem.
All right. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, the next item on our agenda is the annual contract with SSC for custodial services, and Dr. Hunt will review the contract and recommendations for the board.
Thank you again, President Ogle. Again, before you, you have an outline of what is updated In the contract for SSC, this is a one-year contract, so that service expansion, obviously there were some additional buildings, but that expansion includes added buildings, which is Midland Elementary at 170,500 square feet, and Shamrock Station, 37,993 square feet. So the total added square footage is 208,493 square feet at the rate of $2.08 per square foot. So the annual added cost to the contract is $433,787. There's also an increase as far as the cost of supplies are concerned. And so in your board packet, you will also see that there is a 3.4% increase to the contract amount from the previous year. And so the current contract monthly amount is $318,357.71. Annually, it's $3,820,292.52. With the expansion and the increase, that 3.4% increase, monthly moves to $354,506.63, and the annual amount moves to $4,254,080. This is actually not a large increase. In fact, when we were sitting down and going over the contract with SSC, obviously we looked at it very critically. Questions were raised during that particular process, but again, overall, with the expansion of the two facilities, and again, that 3.4% increase, really it's reasonable as far as the price is concerned with the amount of facilities that the SSC would cover. And so this evening, I ask that the board approve the agreement or the contract with SSC as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the annual custodial services contract with SSC effective June 1st, 2026 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike and Carrie. It's been moved and seconded to approve the annual custodial services contract with SSC effective June 1st, 2026. Is there any discussion or are there any questions?
So this $2.08 per square foot, is that what went up to 3%?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes,
So that, but that's the after or the elevated amount or whatever.
correct.
Too.
That is correct.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
All right, if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes. Next item is the approval for RFP of CMC for Monon Athletics and Community Rooms. And at this time, we will have Dr. Hunt once again present this for the board's consideration.
Thank you once again, President Ogle. Before you this evening is a recommendation to approve the RFP process for the Monon Athletic Complex. There's improvements to the complex as well as the community rooms, and those community rooms would be at Maple Glen and here at Monon Trail. And so this is the same process that has been followed previously when we have sent out RFPs for the CMC for projects. And so for the board's knowledge as well as the community's knowledge, I just wanted to read through the outline or the timetable related to the CMC process. So the first advertisement would be actually today. The request permission for the board obviously is this evening. With your permission for the RFP for the CMC at Monon Athletics as well as the community rooms. May 13th, the release of the CMC RFP. May 25th, the second advertisement. June 4th, the CMC RFP's review, or excuse me, due. June 4th or June 5th, that needs to be determined. The committee will review the RFPs. June 5th, board recommendation, and then June 9th, board approves the CMC. So again, that's the outline. Just for, again, the board's recollection, we have been working with 4 CMs as far as the projects within the district. And so we have had good relationships with those CMs. And so realize those those RFPs would be sent out to those 4 particular CMs for these particular projects. There is one thing to note, which is actually exciting to be able to present to the board through our our work on our construction through our projects and looking at things very diligently. That allows for some contingency dollars to be available. And so those contingency of dollars would be available for those community rooms, which again is very, very exciting. And again, that's a credit to Mr. Kelly, our construction director of construction, as well as our business department, as well as you as a board, and being critically looking at all those things as far as construction is concerned and making sure we're adhering to those budgets. So again, that's exciting news tonight to be able to share with the board. Again, that would not be any new dollars being issued as far as bonds are concerned, because we would be able to use those contingency dollars in which to pay for those community rooms. So again, very excited, and those two community rooms will bring us up that we will have all of our elementary buildings will have those community rooms. So again, very, very exciting. And so at this time, I just ask that the board approve the legal advertisement for request for proposals for construction manager as constructor services in accordance with Indiana law and the selection process.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the legal advertisement for an RFP for CMC services in accordance with Indiana law and the selection process as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Carrie. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Amber. It's been moved and seconded to approve the legal advertisement for a request for proposals for construction manager as constructor, CMC, services in accordance with Indiana law and the selection process as presented. Is there any discussion or are there any questions?
I just want to say thanks. We talked about this pretty extensively at our last meeting, and so thank you for all the input and information on that. So I'm very glad we're moving ahead with this.
Yeah, and I just echo the appreciation for, diligence over the construction that has taken place in the past and allowing for those contingency dollars to be put to this particular building, these two items in particular, the community rooms, so that all of our elementary schools can each have a community room. I think that's been a very important goal that we've all had as a board for a while, and it's great to see that come in to fruition with this vote. So
I wanted to add too, obviously, that these projects are part of our 10 to 15 year facilities plan. So these were not just pulled out of thin air. These were actually planned by you as a board, us as administration, working with our architect on our facility plan. So just wanted to mention that again.
Yeah, great point. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
May I add one more thing? I meant to say this at the very beginning, before I got into the action items. Normally at this time, we have our construction updates. Just wanted to let the board know at this time, and the community as well, that we plan on having those construction updates again in June. We had a later board meeting in April. It was a really extensive and comprehensive update that was presented by the contractors at that time. So we still plan on doing that in June, but I just wanted to make mention the reason why it was not taking place here in May.
Thank you for that. The next item on the agenda is the permission to engage with the Hamilton County Auditor, and Dr. Atha will present that for the board's consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. Ogle, members of the board. So as previously discussed during our April 28th, 2026 work session, Westfield Washington Schools continues to rely on our operating referendum overwhelmingly approved by the voters in November 2022, because WWS remains among the lowest funded school districts in Indiana on a per pupil basis. Referendum funding has been essential in maintaining small class sizes, attracting and retaining high-quality educators, supporting programs and services valued by our families and community, and contributing to strong property values throughout our community. The WWS voters have consistently demonstrated strong support for referendum funding, including the initial operating referendum approved in 2010, and then we had subsequent renewals in 2016 and 22. In each election, the community approved the maximum referendum rate of 23 cents, then 20 cents, and 17 cents respectively. These funds remain critical to district operations, covering a substantial portion of our educator benefits and utility expenses. Revenue referendum protects the education fund, enables WWS to preserve lower class size, offer high-quality academic programs and courseworks, and supports the long-term strength and desirability of living in Westfield, Washington Township. Historically, growth in assessed valuation has allowed the referendum levy to increase naturally, providing Westfield, Washington schools with the capacity to add teachers and services in response to continued student enrollment. Our goal was to add school resource officers into every school in the district. However, recent changes to the Indiana property tax calculations and other fiscal adjustments enacted during the 2025 Indiana General Assembly, specifically Senate Enrolled Act 1, 2025, have prompted the WWS leadership team and the district financial advisors to reevaluate the referendum rate necessary to sustain the commitment made to our community. Maintaining an operating referendum levy and corresponding rate that appropriately responds to these legislative changes and net assessed evaluation will be necessary to address inflationary pressures, preserve class sizes, maintain quality academic and extracurricular programming, attract and retain exceptional educators, and to meet the goal of additional investments in school safety and to protect community property values. To begin the process, the Westfield Washington Schools Administration, in consultation with Board Counsel, recommend initiating discussions with the Hamilton County Auditor in preparation for the upcoming statutory deadlines associated with a potential referendum activity. So we're asking then that the board authorize us to engage with the Hamilton County Auditor and allow Westfield Washington Schools to review and verify the levy amount and corresponding tax rate necessary to meet the statutory requirements associated with a potential future ballot question. This authorization does not obligate Westfield Washington Schools to proceed with the Department of Local Government Finance or any subsequent action to formally adopt a referendum resolution or place a question on the ballot. Upon completion of the calculations and analysis with the county auditor, administrators will return to the board with updated information and a recommendation for consideration at a future meeting. The administration recommends proceeding with the discussions with the Hamilton County Auditor at this time in order to preserve flexibility related to the statutory filing deadlines for a November general election. Under Indiana law, referendum questions of this nature may only appear on the ballot during November elections held in even number years. So what we're asking for here is our financial consultants, advisors have set on the ballot, we have to have the median home value, and we also then need to know the tax rate and the levy that we need to generate the amount of dollars we're asking. And so that has to be verified by the auditor before we can adopt a resolution and then ultimately send that to the DLGF. And so we're asking for permission this evening to engage for us and our council, Church Hill on Antrim, to engage with the Hamilton County Auditor to confirm those amounts.
Great, thank you, Dr. Atha. At this time, I will entertain a motion to authorize the Westfield Washington Schools Superintendent Leadership Team and Church Hill and Antrim to engage with the Hamilton County Auditor to review the proposed tax levy and corresponding tax rate, as well as agree upon the median home value in our district for the purpose of developing a potential ballot question to be presented to the board for consideration in June.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carrie. It's been moved and seconded to authorize the WWS superintendent, leadership team, and Churchill and Antrim to engage with the Hamilton County Auditor to review the proposed tax levy and corresponding tax rate, as well as agree upon the median home value in our district for the purpose of developing a potential ballot question to be presented to the board for consideration in June. Is there any questions or discussion?
We'll just make the comment that we've talked extensively about this throughout several meetings, so.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
really discussing it tonight, but we've had many, many conversations.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say thanks to Craig's efforts to get some information on the website, that it's a culmination of at least the information that we've been shared as a board to date, and look forward to the future development of the FAQs as they grow. So thank you for that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Next item on our business and operations, and the last, is the presentation of our air quality index, and Dr. Atha will introduce this.
Thank you very much, President Ogle and members of the board. So this evening, we have with us Tony Havix from PH2 LLC. So back when we switched the intermediate school to elementary, Cool Creek Elementary, we had several questions from our community about air quality. And indoor air quality, we feel pretty good that we've been on top of that. We work regularly with our HVAC people and our systems, and over again, the air quality in our schools is good. And actually, many times people say it's much better than outside because we filter it and we have systems in place for that. But there were some questions about, have we ever tested outdoor air? And we kind of looked at each other and we said, well, we probably need to get an outdoor air expert because we don't know much about that. And we did talk with our state folks at IDEM, and they handle regional air quality testing. And so usually we've always relied on that state agency to guide us for outdoor air quality. But we thought it would be worthwhile to do our due diligence and have Tony come test the outdoor air. So his company specializes in environmental health and safety, microscopy, material science, and forensics engineering. He's here this evening to provide information on a 1-week outdoor air quality test he performed at both Cool Creek and Oak Trace Elementary Schools, as well as just educating us and guiding us in potential considerations for next steps. So welcome, Tony. You can provide anything else that I missed in the introduction.
There we go. It's on. Too long of an introduction. People have been here a long time, so I'm sure they don't want to get going. But I want to talk about the reason why I was here and just kind of structures things. So I put this together in terms of I want to give you some introduction on why we're here, why I'm here, kind of discussing all of this, background information, both on air quality as well as some of the sampling stuff, the results, and then some comments about it, some discussion that, and then some conclusions that come out of that. I've got some other information that I could have put in here, but I didn't want to spend too much time and too many details, get you down into the weeds, but I am available to answer some of those questions if necessary. So to kind of start off with, like, who am I? What kind of background do I have? I've been around doing this business since 1986. Next month I'll hit 40 years. So I'm aging like a good wine, I suppose. I'm doing okay. And I have a degree from Georgia Tech in mechanical engineering with 221 credit hours, which means I probably should have a PhD, but I don't. I also am a certified industrial hygienist, which is really an occupational environmental health specialist. And so I've got both of those backgrounds. I have a strong background in setting exposure limits for things. So I've worked with 20 to 30 board-accredited toxicologists setting exposure limits for various chemicals and the like over the years. I've chaired that committee. I've been on that committee since the 1990s. And I also I've been on the ASTM E50 committee, the environmental committee, as well as the health and safety committee since the 90s as well, and set various standards on risk assessment and how to use that. Back in the 90s, I was on the task force for the state of Indiana to set cleanup limits for the state of Indiana in terms of what's acceptable in terms of risk as well as contamination and the like. So I've got a pretty strong background going back with regard to those. Somewhere in there, I was also adjunct faculty at IUPUI, IU School of Medicine, Purdue. I'm now just technically a limited term lecturer because you guys know how much administrative stuff goes on here, even more administrative stuff for Purdue, and I just kind of like to avoid some of that administrative stuff and just teach. And so that's kind of what I like to do. So I have a company, it's in Avon. I don't live in Westfield. I've never lived in Westfield. I have, my wife's parents live in Noblesville. My wife grew up and went to Noblesville. Declaration, she actually worked for IDEM, Air Division, writing permits for a number of years. She's now working for Elanco. But I've never actually been associated with Westfield in general. Although I do appreciate your soccer fields because I've used them on numerous occasions. Having said that, let's talk about the study itself. When I talk with y'all and was looking to see what were you really looking for, it kept on coming up. You were looking for air quality index. Air quality index is an index. It's not a fixed deterministic number. It's really kind of ranges of things. Are we doing good? Are we doing okay? Are we doing bad? And it's also tied to specific things I'm going to talk about here in a second. The other thing is there was a need to talk about the difference between particularly two of the elementary schools, the Oak Trace and the Cool Creek, which I'll refer to as intermediate, and that's the way I'll be referring to it in general because that's the way I've thought about it. The idea of comparing the air quality index between the two of those to see what the differences are as well as just in general to see what it is. I think that it's more important to look at the national ambient air quality limits and where they sit and what they're based off of beyond just an index of something. So I'm going to talk about that and kind of bring that into perspective. That is what the AQI is based off of, but it's very much a watered down version of that. So I want to talk about that as well. So the national ambient air quality limits are things I'm going to talk about, and that's basically based off of sampling. So I've got a picture up here of a total suspended particulate sampler that might be used for sampling particulate air. Been used for many, many years, to the 70s through today. Generally speaking, it's been modified to accommodate different particle sizes. And then the air quality index, which the state of Indiana, there's no requirement to do it, but the state of Indiana does have certain spots that they actually measure various indicators of national ambient air quality as part of their state plan. And then they actually put out a map online to see what those numbers are at any particular time and then give you a good, a moderate, or a potentially bad rating on that. As a reminder, the Clean Air Act hasn't been around that long. There was an initial one in 1963. This was actually brought about by the Denora pollution episode in 1948 in Denora, Pennsylvania, where 21 people died because of inversion in a valley. One of those people who died happened to be a relative of mine. I grew up in the Pittsburgh area, and I thought everybody had orange streams until I was about 8 years old. So I'm very familiar with some of that stuff, and I've seen the Pittsburgh haze clean up over the years as well. And 1970, really what got started was the formation of the Clean Air Act as well as the EPA. Signed into act. And then in the 1970s, they started developing national ambient air quality standards. And those have changed over the years in terms of lowering of some of those, as well as development of a couple of modifications of those. So you see up here, there's ozone, there's carbon monoxide, nitrous oxides, NO2, nitrous dioxide, which is one of those, is the one we're going to focus on with regard to the sampling, and then sulfur dioxide. Those are all gases. Move around very easily with regard to being gases. The next three are particulates. The main one that was originally there in 1971 was total suspended particulate. That's everything. That's everything you can collect on a filter. The next two down are subsets of that. So PM10 is particulate matter of 10 micrometers in size or less. That's really what we put into a respirable range, and I'll show you a little graph here in a second. That didn't come in until 1987. And so there were modifications of looking at particulate, realizing it's not just all the particulate, really it's the stuff we're going to breathe. And then they came to realize about another decade later that probably the really, really small stuff is more an indicator of things that we want to look at with regard to health in the general population. And so that's the way that they've come to look at it. All this comes out of the Clean Air Act, and as part of that, there was a piece in there that said we're to set national ambient air quality limits to protect human health with an adequate margin of safety. And that's come to be, if we don't even have all the evidence, if there's a certain amount of uncertainty, we will set the lower number than it may be than we can actually prove at the time. So there's causation, there's kind of inference, and they'll look at the inference versus just the causation aspects and set perhaps a number lower in terms of looking at preventing health issues. For purposes of looking at size-wise, I'd say PM10, PM2.5, and you're probably looking at me like, yeah, it's a number, what's it mean? So I threw a picture in here. This is a picture of my hair when I had more hair. It's about 100 micrometers in diameter. So if this is 100 micrometers in diameter, PM10 is about 1/10 of that, and PM2.5 is about 2.5% of the width of that hair. And so it's fairly small stuff. The smaller stuff gets deeper into the lungs. The PM10 kind of stays in the upper portions of the lungs, and parts of it gets down. So if we look at what you actually breathe, there's what you inhale into your nose and into the upper portion, then there's a portion that gets down a little bit further, and then there's a portion that really gets down into the lungs, and that's the respirable portion. And you'll notice that kind of cuts off right at about 10 micrometers in size. And so that's one of the reasons why we have PM10 as a designation. It really represents the stuff that gets deeper into the lungs. And then 2.5 is a little bit smaller than that, but it's also stuff that gets very deep in the lungs and also gets in there in a different way, and we have a lot more particle count to make up that same amount of mass. Also has a lot more surface area, which means it can make it more reactive as well. The air quality index basically takes those national ambient air quality limits and then gauges. So here I have the AQI index itself, and then what you call good, moderate, unhealthy for sensitive, unhealthy, and so forth. So they group them into different ranges. The first range happens to be the annual limit for PM2.5. Maybe I should do it over here so you guys can look over here. So this is the annual limit for PM2.5. This is a 24-hour essentially maximum that you typically want to have for PM2.5. And you can see that these hit the good and the moderate range. And of course, we'd like to be good. We'd like to have it down really low, and then we'll accept things over a 24-hour period, and we prefer not to be in this range. But in reality, again, as it says here, it's really for sensitive groups, and that's how it was designed. Along with this, you'll get a green, a yellow, an orange, a red, and then some higher levels, which I haven't seen in a long, long time. Well, actually, that's not true. During the wildfires that occurred coming out of Canada, we actually had some pretty high levels at that point in time. And same thing for out in LA. When I was out in LA, right after the fires, you still had a lot of stuff that was going on. So this is an index. It's a kind of a gradient, kind of a good, okay, not so good, bad, and the like, and that's what it was meant to do. But if we look at some of these numbers, they're much more tied to the science, much more tied to how we might want to look at something with regard to the air quality itself. So let's look at the sampling we've got. So we have two locations. We have the intermediate school as well as the Oak Trace, separated by not a significant difference, not too far apart in terms of air quality, but obviously we've got 31 going by closer on this side, and it's also on the westward side of the school as opposed to the eastward side of the school. And we tend to have generally wind flow from west to east. Sometimes we'll have it out of the north, but overall, if you did a rose diagram, you'd see a lot of stuff coming out of the west. Those two samples, locations we did March 25th through April 3rd, looking to see what can we pick up. So if we look at where those actually were, this was right near the playground for this one, and then the playground here, and this is the location here. Not all the buildings that are actually in there are shown here because the Google map that I have doesn't have those actually in there. And so from that standpoint, you'll see a little bit of differences between the two. But you can see the closest to the highway. I will tell you, if IDEM does a sample, they will not sample here. They would have to sample at least this far back because regulatory-wise, they're not allowed to sample that close to a highway. I did because that's more representative of what we're trying to look for in terms of what the impact is and whether we see differences between the two. But from a official standpoint, that's not where I would actually sample if I was trying to meet the regulatory requirement. Set up a canopy and then instrumentation underneath it, and then a chain link fence around it just to help protect it from people who are a little bit too curious than they need to be, and that sometimes does happen. With inside of that, those instrumentations are set up about breathing height. I will tell you that IDEM, EPA, specify 2 meters to 15 meters in height for some of the sampling. That does make a difference on some of the numbers, and tends to, the lower you keep them, the higher those numbers tend to be. So you tend to overestimate what you actually have compared to the EPA numbers. These instrumentations are for ozone. That's a Draeger meter, a Ray meter for the SO2 and nitrogen dioxide, and then a TSI meter for carbon monoxide, PM, total PM, PM2.5, and PM10. And these will all log at one minute constantly. And so these will log for time period, and then you can actually look at the data, download it after, when you get finished with the sampling time period, and then actually go ahead and try and figure out what's going on. I will tell you that we had some unusual environmental conditions. We had high winds. We had high winds for most of the sampling period. And that does make a difference, particularly in terms of the PM 2.5 values. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. So I did look at the data at the end of March, beginning of April. We did have some precipitation as well with regard to that, and so those will change some of the numbers as well. Those you just have to live with because I can't change the sampling period. There's only certain amounts you can do with regard to that. And also recognize this is a short-term sample. 52 weeks in a year, you know, if you're talking 1 week, you're talking less than 2% of the actual time period of 1 year. Most of these limits are based off of annual limits, and so we're talking a 2% time period to try and project out for a 1 year period. So let's look at the results here. Carbon dioxide, I have it up here 0. It's below detection limits. Same thing for sulfur dioxide. It's below detection limits. It's good. We're fine. There's nothing there. Biggest source of carbon dioxide would be combustion sources such as poor vehicles or boilers exhausting or something like that. Then I've got the ozone up here, and I've got the intermediate school as well as the Oak school. Here's the averages. Here's the minimum for each one of them, and here's the maximum. And they're pretty much the same. Statistically, there's no difference. So if we take all the data, there's no difference. Now, I will tell you that these values here are 1 minute averages for the whole week. Normally, you look at a 24-hour period, or you try and project this out into a 1 year period, which is why I took the average for the whole time period. So you might be able to compare it more to a full year. But either way, we're less than the 0.07 ppm for an 8-hour period. So we're in good condition if you look at the air quality index as well as the national ambient air quality limit. For nitrogen dioxide, we've got intermediate and Oak, and there is a significant difference between the two in terms of what the numbers are. So we would call this one unhealthy to sensitive individuals, and we would call this one moderate in terms of its number. So they're certainly over the annual period, and we did peak up, even though these are averages. I can tell you that we peaked up over both of these for 1 hour periods of 0.1 for nitrogen dioxide. Now recognize that, yes, we've got it over that time period, and here are the limits here. And there's a good number of sampling 1 minute periods that are over these two. But from that standpoint, recognize these limits are made with some level of acceptable safety in there, as well as acceptable things. The things that go wrong with regard to NO2 are typically individuals who are asthmatic, COPD, over the age of 65 or under the age of 2. Those are the risk populations. And these are reversible things, and they're really tied to the concept of emergency department visits. That's really where they're tied to, all right? It's not like you're gonna die if it's over the limit. You're gonna have some irritation, you're gonna have some issues, and you're probably gonna wanna go seek a little bit of medical help or stay out of the air. That assumes you're spending obviously a significant period of time outside in the air itself. For the PM 2.5, there's slight differences between Oak and intermediate, but this is statistically, Oak is statistically higher than intermediate. I did the numbers and I rechecked the numbers. That's the case also for PM 2.5. It's not great for an annual number. It's okay for a 24-hour number, so that's why they're both in the moderate range. I wasn't happy with either one of the NO2 or the PM 2.5, but I recognize you had a very windy period. You had some weather that's not necessarily indicative of what you're going to typically have for the full year, and so I'm not surprised that you actually have this. So if we look at the concentrations themselves, the bulk of them are well below that 35 ppm for 24-hour period. I would like to see the average down much lower, but given the background we had and what was going on, as well as the height and stuff like that. PM10, same thing as PM 2.5, although I will tell you that I thought this is lower than what I thought it was going to be given the conditions. And so from that standpoint, I was actually kind of surprised at the numbers here, and they're good numbers for PM10. So let's talk about some differences. You know, the CO, the SO2, they're pretty much the same for both of them. They're not indicators of anything going wrong there. The nitrous oxide and the ozone are less at Oak than they are at intermediate. But then the PM 2.5 and PM10 are greater at Oak than they are at intermediate. So you basically got a wash for both of them. One's a little bit better in one way, and one's a little bit better than the other way. There's not a significant difference in terms of overall on how it approach these. Recognize we also have these are close to parking lots or roads in terms of where they are, and recognize that NO2 is usually a regional source effect. You have some local things, and I did see a little spike on the intermediate when we got back to pick up some of the sampling devices. There was a guy pressure washing the outside of the school. He had the compressor running 10 feet from the meters. So some of that is going to show up in there, and so you got to recognize that there are. If you got a source that's that close, you're going to have some. You're going to have some spikes, and you're going to have some stuff going on there that I can't help. That's just the way things actually operate. PM 2.5 is generally also a regional source effect. The PM10 is much more local because it's a bigger particle, has to maintain airspeed long enough to stay in the air, and so generally speaking, it's a little bit closer to source of what you've got if you're going to see it. So having said that, I'll also say that the meters that I used, we calibrate these on a regular basis. The meters that you would typically put out for some of the stuff for PM10 monitoring that the state does cost a lot more money. So there's probably $30,000 worth of equipment sitting here between the two schools. You're going to spend more than that if you were to put some long-term equipment out there in the same way that the EPA might do it. And these meters tend to overestimate both the value of PM 2.5 and PM 10. I did a significant study down in Georgia for Georgia Power, looking at actual weighted filters versus the instrumentation, and they were always over. They always overestimated the amount. And that's because they assume it's a sphere, and they assume a certain density. And so if you've got a lot of pollen and stuff like that, which happens to be lower density, versus you have a lot of minerals, which happen to be much higher density, you can easily change the value that you've got of the mass that's being estimated. So these have to be kind of calibrated almost on site to a good source to be really, really good about their numbers. They're good indicators, but they're not perfect. And then the NO2 meter, even though I saw some high stuff with the ozone the way it is, that NO2, that nitrogen dioxide, will show up if you've got ozone. It'll increase the nitrogen dioxide value because the ozone reacts with the meter the same way. And so I suspect we've got a little bit of NO2 that's really O3 reacting with the same sensor. And there's not a good way to get around that. And EPA has stated that in their records. And then this is a short study. It's not a one-year study. It's a very short study to get an idea of what's going on. The one thing you can say is I can compare the two. They were taken both at the same time under relatively similar conditions, and so I can compare the two sites. I just wouldn't want to make large predictions about what you have for an annual basis. So recognize also the PM10, typically somewhere around 13 to 30 micrograms per cubic meter in cities based off the EPA, and then again that wind speed. So compared to normally 39 micrograms per cubic meter of PM10, you'll see 263. So you're talking a huge increase when you got wind. And so I recognize we're probably seeing some of this stuff because of the wind speed itself, as opposed to actually being there normally with regard to the sampling that we did. One piece on the PM 2.5, there are these are excess events of somebody basically going to the hospital or going to their doctor because they have an episode. Typically it's an asthmatic person, a person with COPD, somebody's over 65 or less than 2 years of age. They'll have increased hospital visits, maybe they'll have an increased heart rate or they'll have blood pressure increase. And that's what happens. It's about a 3% increase, 3 to 5% increase, something like that. So it's not huge. But, and that's at 25 micrograms per cubic meter, which is a little bit higher than what we're at, than what we actually saw as an average. So you can have some of these things, but you're really not seeing elementary school kids affected by this. You really, unless they've got COPD or asthma. And then you're really, these are also looking at daily basis as opposed to a single hour. And so you really see this over more of a day, 8-hour time period as opposed to 1 hour of peaking over top of this. And so if you're worried about kids playing out in the playground 30 minutes an hour, I'm not too worried about that with regard to some of the numbers we've got. And then my conclusions would be, these all look pretty good in terms of the O2, the CO, sulfur dioxide, and PM10. These subpar for the sampling period. I think you need a longer period if you really want to thoroughly evaluate it. I'm not sure that's necessary, but if you want to do that, I think you need a longer time period. And overall, there's just not a substantial difference between the two schools. They're pretty much equal in terms of overall, particularly the air quality index. They're about the same. One thing I will tell you about the air quality index that I didn't mention previously, you've got 5 agents that you look at, 5 pollutants. If 4 of them are good and 1 of them is bad, they only report the bad value for the AQI. So when you get the reading from the news channel or somebody like that, they take the worst one of them and report only that. And so the AQI isn't a representation of everything, it's only representative of the third worst one for that day. So keep that in mind as well if you ever hear about the AQI. They always take the worst case for that day, and that's the one that they actually count towards that AQI. They take the highest value. So with that, I'll open up for any questions if you got any. I suppose I could probably pose one more thing for you.
Please.
If my kids were going to that school, which none of them are because they're 25 and older, I wouldn't have any problem with them going to that school and feeling like they're safe. So, I mean, that's probably about the best way I could put it in terms of I'm not worried about the kids at the school.
Yeah, I wanted to just maybe clarify and bring light to what I thought I heard you what I thought I understood when you said the increase in hospitalizations on the previous graph, that would be more of a situation where if a person were out in that environment during that sampling period for an 8-hour period of time.
Technically speaking, if you look at all the studies, they're 24 hours.
24-hour period of
Yeah,
time.
so
going
I would
in
call
and
it, I would
out
call
of
it 8 hours, but the studies
Okay.
themselves are actually based off of 24-hour periods.
And then, if I may, the reason why you ended with your comment of you being comfortable with your own children being there is because if they're only going to be outside
30 minutes to 60
a little
minutes
bit of
in
time,
2 hours.
you're
Yeah.
not going to see an instance of
I shouldn't really see
emergency
it.
room visit because of a recess time block.
No, I wouldn't expect to see that. And I'm actually more worried about the indoor values in a school than I'm about the outdoor values, because more of your time is spent indoors, and that's where your lack of focus, lack of education, ability is going to be drawn from. And frankly, when I talked to him at the beginning, I said, are you going to do noise? Because I'd be more worried about noise affecting their learning ability than I would anything else. He says, we're putting up a 14-foot barrier. That actually is going to help with the air quality as well, because that'll drive everything up over top, essentially drive it up higher into the air, and it'll take a little bit longer to drop down. So you'll actually see probably, if I were to actually monitor for a period of 2 or 3 months and then look for 2 or 3 months after that, you'd probably see a drop.
So I guess I'm assuming we compare to the rest of the state, where, I mean, the air is traveling through, so if your kid goes to Avon or goes to Westfield, they're gonna experience about the same air quality?
Yeah. Even, believe it or not, even if you're at like an IPS school downtown, it's actually not that different.
Right.
I did pull some data from the state, historical data. There's not a lot of difference between Kokomo and Anderson and IPS downtown.
Wow.
There's even some stuff on what I call more rural up towards Fort Wayne, and that one wasn't, it's 5% difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that map you had at the very beginning, that had the data from a
Yeah.
general area, we were in line to a similar.
Yeah, this one right here. So you can actually check, I actually pulled Excel spreadsheet off from IDEM and downloaded the data on the various pollutants and started looking at what we've got in terms of what you see in peaks and stuff like that and typical annual values. Pretty much, there's not a big change in this. Now, there was some reasonable differences 20 years ago, but within the past 10 years, they've all kind of evened out and pretty much about the same. Yeah. And and the state has an implementation plan on how they manage regional airflow. There are some sections, so the exception to that might be South Bend. Dr. Jacko at Purdue actually a number of years ago took his airplane and flew up that region and figured out that why they were having bad air quality was because it was coming over from Chicago and popping back down again. And so you can have some of that stuff occurring. But that's kind of a little odd because we've got a west-east typical flow. It's pretty much going to be the same no matter where you end up across the state. It really isn't a significant difference between them. There used to be when we had like the foundry downtown and the brass facility out towards the airport and the like. Those could actually, you have stacks with local impact on them. And then there is still one local impact just outside, actually in Avon, with a lead smelter that actually does have a stack there, but they monitor that all the time.
So it doesn't sound like you're surprised at all that the school right next to a highway isn't much higher than a school?
No, I'm not that
highway.
horribly surprised. If I were to look at, and I did take some air samples to look at underneath the microscope, I haven't done it yet, but I can tell you if I go about 5 miles east of here to a residential area that has maybe 500 vehicles going by it a day on that road because it's a cul-de-sac, at the most, I'll still find tire particles in the air sample at the front entry to the doorway, which I just did a month ago. And so you'll see that same thing here, whether it's at Oak or whether it's Intermediate. You're going to find some of that stuff. it does get airborne and stay airborne for a reasonable amount of time. And it's just a matter of we drive a lot as people, and we put that into the air, and it does stick around for a long enough time period to eventually settle into someplace. And so it's going to be there, but I'm not surprised, no.
Tony, we talked a little bit about ongoing air quality, and, you know, as you say, a week, the equipment's expensive. Is there anything, again, just, you know, more, like our number one priority is student safety, right? It's paramount. And so is there anything that we should be doing, you recommend that we be doing, or is it, you know, that you've spent quite a bit of time with us,
Yeah.
talked to us, to ask us a lot of questions, right? Like, from that.
Yeah, so if I was a parent and I had a child who was asthmatic and I wanted to know whether I should put him out on the playground that day, I could take a cheaper meter that is available by the EPA. It's a lower cost, lower resolution, not as good. You're probably going to spend about $2 or $3 grand for that setup for about a year, and it will data log that stuff, send it back, put it in the cloud for storage, and you can look at that and see what you're doing. It's a real-time meter, and so it'll give you some real-time data. It's not as good as the stuff. But it's also it's a piece of equipment that was actually made by one of the companies that made one of my meters. You could buy a couple of those and put one at each of those schools, and maybe another one somewhere else where you want to do a third comparison. Run that for a year and see what you're getting in the way of numbers, and then you get a better idea of what's really going on a more seasonal basis and a more of an annual basis as well. They do have limitations, so like I said, we calibrate ours a lot. You put them out there, they're going to be out there for a year. They're made to be somewhat stable, but not going to be perfectly stable. You got what you call electronic drift. That's where the numbers may go down or may go up just because of the inherent, say, electrical capacitance inside of the meter is causing it to shift one way or another. That does happen. And so recognize they're not perfect. They're not EPA approved. But EPA has done some recommendations to say if you're going to do this kind of monitoring, you can use a meter like this. And then there's an institute that actually did look at this one and about 40 other meters to see what they are. This one I happen to like because it's reasonably priced. I know the company that makes it because they make some of the other stuff that I have. And it's actually probably not a bad fit for what you're trying to do in terms of balance between quality and cost and trying to get a feel for an index of what you got.
And then do you help us locate where the best, like the appropriate location for that?
Yeah, we'd have to talk about that in terms of where do we want to actually put it at to be representative. Are we trying to go for a comparison to national ambient air quality limits, which has restrictions on how high it has to be as well as how far away from different things it has to be? And then we also think about, if you've got a boiler or some combustion sources, we want to make sure it's not like just in line with one of those as well, because that can be another big issue. And so those are the types of things. You got a backup generator. We want to look and see where that is and make sure we eliminate that as well. Yeah.
Thanks for coming. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks, Tony.
So are we putting this like on our website? Are we going to share information with parents?
So
How are we?
Yeah, so Tony, I think we put the presentation, but has a full report and executive summary that we're going to push out now that we've had this. And that we can, I don't know if we can segment out this or say what number it started at. I'd had some parents that had reached out, so I told them that he would be presenting tonight, and then that we would, we didn't want to put the report out there till after the presentation, so we'll tie those two together.
All right, very good. Move on to the curriculum portion of our agenda. The first item on the curriculum agenda is the disposal of curriculum materials, and Dr. Ryan Hoover will present this item for the board's consideration.
Thank you, President Ogle, members of the board. The first item, we have several here tonight. This is, every year we look at curriculum materials as we go through adoptions, and we want to, a couple things, ensure that they've still met state federal guidelines, but then also as we do adoptions and over time, it's a practice of school districts to dispose of previously adopted materials from years past. And now that we have, we've actually gone through a revision of essentially all of our K through 12 curriculum materials, we are to a point now where we feel comfortable moving forward with disposal of some of those items now that we have, like I said, adopted K through 12. This process is ongoing and is an annual review just because of this cycle of curriculum materials. Typically, we only will have one subject area that we'd be looking at, and they kind of fall off as you readopt. It really depends on if we have adopted new things and so forth. But due to the fact that there was just some changes in our process, and we did quite a bit of curriculum work over the last 3 years, there's several things that we have up for disposal. And if you look, the biggest ones is a unit of study, teacher and student materials, our iReady materials, K through 8, everyday math materials, which is actually from previous adoption. And then we said any former science, social studies, math, or English language arts district adopted materials prior to 2019. And we chose that date just because after I went back and researched the timing of when previous adoptions were done, that got us back to everything we have current or beyond. So the recommendation is, for the board, is that we will be disposing of previously adopted materials that are on the WWS disposal list for 2026.
All right, thank you, Dr. Hoover. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the disposal of previously adopted materials that are on the district disposal list for 2026 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Amber. It's been moved and seconded to approve the disposal of previously adopted materials that are on the WWS disposal list for 2026. Is there any discussion or are there any questions?
I'll just mention that with the Shamrock Shuffle that's happening this summer, we also want to give confidence to our teachers as they purge that they can throw away any of that or dispose of any of that, and that the board has taken action to do that. That was another reason this year it was really important, so that they don't feel like they have to take something to another school or store it someplace in that school, that they can get it out of the room. Then we, if we can, through my calls process, evaluate it and then get rid of it.
Yeah, so if they see, to say it a different way, if they find something that's dated 2019, they can be confident that it's part
Right.
of this list.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or 1999, but we'll, leave that alone.
2019
Sometimes people like to hold on to old.
Or
We-
however long they've been taken.
And we did say board adopted because there are times where textbook publishers drop off materials for review that end up in our schools. Those can be purged anytime. They were not board adopted. We did not pay for them. They were samples. Samples can be purged at any time. They don't have to stick around. So if it was nothing that was board adopted, then it can go at any time.
Excellent. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the 2026-2027 student fee list, and Dr. Hoover will present this recommendation.
Thank you again, President Ogle. Just each year, wanted to bring this as to your attention. We have student fees that we do charge for student consumables each year. Just wanted to give just a quick reminder, back in 2023, there were some new governing rules by the state of Indiana, in which we did not charge for curricular materials or student fees. So there was a year where we actually did not charge families for any of those. Obviously, the district, taking on the brunt of the cost of all those as the state sort of changed the process on that. After review and from a financial standpoint and also just a legality standpoint and working with the state and our officials here, we realized that student fees could be charged, but curriculum materials would still stay under our state funding. So we enacted that again last year. And then each year what we do is we go back and review these K through 12. So I wanted to thank in particular Kat Patel and all of the bookkeepers at our 9 schools that did a tremendous amount of work, not just at the elementary. Jana Groom at the high school has to literally look at every single section that we have in every single class and check in with their leaders and to see if there's any changes that need to be made. Most of the time they're modest or zero, but we do have upgrades just because of inflational costs for more. And the key thing with student fees you have to remember is these are for student consumable items that should be used in that school year by only on student consumables for those kids. So this is an annual cost that will be essentially collected, distributed to teachers, and then spent on students that school year. As you can imagine, a lot of these are some of our related arts. Think about art class, music, ceramics, different things like that. A lot of our, but then we also have some other areas that we do collect modest fees. This year, one of the things we tried to do was we were asked by our business department to try to round each student fee to the nearest 5 cents based on some recent legislation. And so what we did was we submitted all levels to you, K through 5. 6th grade is actually, this year we had it as a separate line item because of the fact that they're going to be in the current building that they're in. As of next year, we will simply add them to the middle school in general. And that was just because of some of the programming that will come along with what they're doing. So next year we'll have 3, but this year we had K through 5, a separate line for 6th grade, 7, 8 middle school, and then 9 through 12 for high school, obviously with the high school being the most comprehensive. And like I said, most of the increases were pretty modest. We actually do look, in some cases, able to decrease. In some cases, if we notice that the previous year, some of the, if we see any trends where maybe the money was being spent slower than we expected, or that sometimes materials last longer than expected, then we are able to look at different, decreases from time to time, or sometimes companies will actually reduce prices as well. So we take all that into consideration and try not to change the limits from year to year. So at this time, though, I am recommending that the Board of Trustees do approve the 2026 student fees for K through 12 students.
Thank you, Dr. Hoover. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the 2026-2027 student fee lists as presented. Thank you, Carrie. Do I have a second? Thank you, Amber. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2026-2027 student fee lists. Is there any discussion or any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the second reading of the 2026-2027 student handbooks, and Dr. Hoover will present this recommendation for the board.
Thank you, President Ogle. Just a reminder, we did our first reading on April 21st of our student handbook, and board members have since had the opportunity to review the handbooks and reach out with any questions. Once again, we'd like to really thank Erica Seymour, Assistant Principal at the high school, for once again leading this process and the revision process in collaboration with the district leadership, and valuable feedback from our Westfield Classroom Teachers Association. The only changes that have been made since the first reading were updates to Midland Crossing's phone number and changes to the district admin directory. Overall, the primary changes to this year's handbook include updated handbook language across all levels for greater clarity, consistency, and alignment with current district practices. Added guidance regarding wireless communication devices, including meta glasses, and clarified expectations around AI use and academic dishonesty. Revised attendance, e-learning, transportation, and food service sections to reflect current procedures and improve consistency across schools. We dissolved the Westfield Intermediate School Handbook with 5th and 6th grade information now incorporated into the elementary and middle school handbooks. We added elementary guidance related to 3rd grade iRead retention requirements, updated middle school discipline and dress code language, and removed redundant sections already covered by board policy, and finally updated the high school diploma information core guidelines and dual credit partnership information. We are recommending that the Board of School Trustees approve the 26-27 student handbooks as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Hoover. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the 2026-2027 student handbooks as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2026-2027 student handbooks. Is there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Did you have a comment? Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the 2027-2028 school calendar, and once again, we'll turn it over to Dr. Hoover.
And Dr. Atha, I don't know if you wanted me to present this section, I'm more than happy to.
I'll jump in, and we've had some conversation. We talked about the work session. We went back to our calendar committee. So the 27-28 calendar year, we have decided to put all of our schools on a semester academic calendar. We also are opening up 2 middle schools, and so and then next year, 26-27, we're starting later, and we have the Live Golf Tournament, so we lose a couple days early on in August. And so we're trying to start, I think the goal is as late in August as possible and still get out without going into June. But next school year in 26-27, we do go into June a little bit. So we're trying to maximize the 27-28 calendar to get semester done before winter break, but still start as late as possible to make sure that we give as much summer as possible. So we had a couple options we looked at. We talked at the board at the work session. We went back to our calendar committee, asked for feedback. And although there's not a perfect calendar, we believe the one that's being presented tonight is the optimal calendar for us to meet our top priorities. And we did get feedback from our parents that starting a little later in August is preferred. So we did that, plus we can finish the semester before winter break. We'll need to go a little bit longer in the first semester, but that works out. And we have had questions about this calendar, people trying to make plans, so we feel it's important for the board to adopt a calendar at this time, and so the one, we recommend the one that we have presented here tonight for the board to adopt for the 27-28 school year.
Thank you, Dr. Atha. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2027-2028 school calendar as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carrie. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2027-2028 school calendar. Is there any discussion or are there any questions?
So this will be posted pretty soon on the calendar if we pass it.
Yeah, so, sorry. I believe we can put this out tomorrow if it is approved tonight, correct? And then we'll get it out to all the schools. They can send it out in their newsletters. But yes, we'll get it out probably tomorrow.
Excellent. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes. And the next item on the agenda is the spring 2026 policy updates, and Dr. Hoover will present the proposed updates for the board consideration, unless Dr. Atha wants to do it.
Dr. Hoover has it.
Okay.
Thank you, President Ogle. So, policy updates based on their spring legislative session, recent auditing and regulatory guidance, and current best practices. Summaries of the changes to impacted policies are listed below. And President Ogle, would you like me to read through each of those just as a summary? Okay. So these are A200 firearms, weapons, and destructive devices, adds new language from HEA 1343 on imitation firearms. A275 school wellness updates have been made regarding training requirements, drinking water, and fundraisers from recent Indiana Department of Health guidance. A300 responsible use of technology and internet use policy updates the policy based on HEA 1004 to allow a parent to increase the strength of a filter or block access to websites on school-issued devices. A301 wireless communication device updates includes the revisions from SCA 78 that provides students from using devices during the school day with very limited exceptions. C175 attendance, academic engagement, and truancy prevention updates the excused absences related to active duty service and participation in the Civil Air Patrol from HEA 1004. C525 medical needs at school includes updates regarding the use of AEDs under HEA 1004. F101 budget adoption and implementation, new policies stemming from a recent interaction with the Distressed Units Appeals Board. F125 purchasing procedures and capital assessments, adds language on prohibited contract provisions from SCA 200 and adds language on purchasing services. G325 free, reduced, and price meals, update to include language on protection of privacy. H125 corporation support organizations, updated to make explicit that school corporations are not responsible for the finances of approved organizations. And finally, H150 public records, updated to include new language from HEA 1360 on data scraping and phishing request as well as out-of-state requesters. Since these policy changes are based on recent legislative session, the administration recommends approval of these policy updates on first read as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Hoover. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the 2026 spring policy updates on the first reading as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 26 spring policy updates on the first read. Is there any discussion or questions?
Yeah, I will just note, A301 is the wireless communication device that was updated from Senate Enrolled Act 78, which prohibits using devices during the school day. The actual wording is off and inaccessible, and it includes any device. And we did, with feedback, add if it was limited, like a smartwatch, but included but not limited to, and I believe we put in smart glasses. So it's kind of ever changing, smart devices. But there will need to be some conversation with our handbooks that we just adopted, and now this policy, if it's, I'm sure it'll be adopted because it's state law. We have two things that really need to happen. One, at each level, agree upon in the handbook what it means for students. So in elementary, we don't have lockers. We have fifth grade students who are going to be in elementaries and involved in activities, so students will have wireless devices. So, we need to have some conversations pretty quickly here. Off is easy. Inaccessible could be in a book bag or something. Middle school does have lockers. All students have a locker in the middle school. So they could be off and in their locker. I think they're talking about that. But again, with after-school activities, then high school does not have lockers for everyone. So, and kiddos there, a backpack for a high school student is different maybe than a backpack for an elementary who has cubbies and so forth. So our teachers, we talked, I think, quite a bit about it on yesterday in discussions. We'll get to work on that after if the board adopts these policies, and then we'll come back and talk about that. It's almost something that we're going to have to learn by doing, but then the second piece after we do that is we have to communicate to parents what this means and ask for their help and partnership as we try to implement this state law, and then this policy then impacts handbooks, right? So, and I'm not sure anyone has a solution that they think is a really good one. The last thing we hadn't talked about, but I did get the question, I assume BAC, but for some consistency purposes, the folks from BAC wanted to know if they're on school property and they're here, what kind of consistency can we add that will not only support kids, but also support our teachers as students move into the regular day or stay after school. Do we want to clarify that for parents who utilize our BAC? So we need to have those conversations.
Right. Good discussion, good heads up, I think, too, for parents with some of these state laws that are coming through. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. And the final item under curriculum is a curriculum update from Dr. Hoover.
Thank you again, President Ogle, members of the board. Just a quick curriculum update. I wanted to bring this to your attention just because it's something that the curriculum team, as well as all of our building administrators, school administrators, as well as many of our teachers had given some input on, and just wanted to ensure that I communicate this with you and offer any questions. So one of the things that we have been working on, in particular this year, but it's been more of a vision when we went from 6 schools to 8, was to have more of a common elementary or a K through 5 schedule across all 8 schools. And so we a lot of times people refer to that as a common elementary schedule. Right now we have common parameters in our schedules, but we don't have what I would say a common schedule at the 6 schools that we have. There are, as we went through the process, and I'll get into this in a second, there were noticeable changes that or differences in the different schools, just kind of depending on how they set up their schedules and even little things like transition time and how long their related arts were and things like that. In most cases, though, they were all doing language arts, math, the core subjects at different times, but for the same amounts. Really, the driving factor behind this is multiple, more than twofold. It's multifold, but really what we're looking at is 2 things: trying to provide what we call a guaranteed and viable curriculum to all students to ensure that they are getting a very similar, not identical, but a very similar experience K through 5. We talk a lot with our teachers about that we want to be very tight on the what and the when. So in other words, the what being the Indiana standards and what we want students to learn. And then the when is really kind of talking about what that looks like, how much time are we offering our teachers during those sections of time, and then also the part about our assessments. How do we know what students are learning? We want those to be common because obviously it's not fair if one school is doing math for 20 minutes and another school is doing it for 80. We would not expect the same expectations. We also have to have what are common assessments to know that if one school is testing one way and another school is assessing another way, it's hard for us to look at things across the district. So we really wanted to try to look at cleaning up some of those items, which our teachers and our coaches have done an amazing job with. But the key part here is the how is something that we'll never want to take away. That is the creativity, and what we rely on our teachers for is how to then enact that and to put that in place. And that is something that we will always protect because we don't ever want to basically take away our teachers' ability to use their teaching creative spirit. And so, but to work within those parameters is kind of what we asked. So this year, you've heard us refer to our MTSS model, and we've spent a lot of time working on that. That was made up of many of our school administrators, assistant principals and principals, several of our instructional coaches, and several of our MTSS literacy teachers. We convened for about 4 to 5 months, and really what we did was two key things. Kind of identify what, after having conversations with many, what are those, what's our school day look like? What is it currently? We did an inventory of what does every school look like right now? and really kind of looked at those differences. And there were some, admittedly. There were, that happens over time when you have a growing district and schools at different spots where when they came on, sometimes things will sort of change over time, and every now and then it's a great idea to come back and somewhat audit yourself to ensure that you're maintaining some consistency. So that was a huge driver of that. The other key part goes back to some of the changes we've discussed with you earlier this year was the two biggest ones being our special education model is changing immensely from instead of having applied programs, our program schools like we have in the past where Cary Ridge would have, for example, our cross-categorical program and Shamrock Springs would have our Mosaics program. As you well know, now those programs are going to be distributed amongst 4 of our schools, and they're going to have partner schools, so that's way those teachers and students are going to be distributed amongst all of our schools. So our service model has changed immensely. Due to that, we wanted to ensure that, number one, our schedule at those schools would allow for those teachers now to be available to work in the classroom with students at a higher rate and a more frequent rate. We are obviously moving to a much more inclusionary model, and so we wanted to ensure that a common schedule allowed for those teachers to be available throughout the day, which bleeds kind of right into, which the second biggest reason is what this really is more than a common schedule, is an organization of the schedule. One of the things that I've had in my past, but just from talking to our building leaders as well, is ensuring that things like English language arts, math, and other parts of the day, such as win times, which is when we work with some of our more struggling learners in specific areas, if everybody's doing those times at the exact same times of the day, our EL teachers, our special education teachers, and some of our other specialists are now then conflicted between where do they go help. If there is distribution of those times throughout the day, obviously it makes more availability. So it's really a maximization of our staff for our students. It's really kind of, if you boil it down to the why behind that. By doing so, it really opened up some avenues for us, allowing us to do a win time for not just language arts, but for math, which is something many of our teachers have asked for. But we also had a practicality of this, right? We would love to say every single minute of the day is going to be nothing but academic, and we're going to move forward with that. But as we know with K-5 students, there is time that has to be for transitions to get from point A to point B. This might be my signal to speed things up again after my past filibuster. I think there were that was a very rude way of telling me just to cut it off. No. But in all honesty, we wanted there to be some practicality and also to maintain the great things we have in our related arts in different areas. So we thought it was very important that we kept our 45 minutes for our related arts, and that we had 5-minute transitions for each, so students can get from one spot to the other. We had to have overlapping lunches, but not to the, we made it to where for most of the time a class will be in there by themselves, but then the next grade will be kind of coming in as one is leaving. We have it set up to where recess will be as one grade is coming out, one grade is coming in. So it's really about efficiency and capturing every minute as you possibly can. Some schools were ending their days differently. We wanted it to be taking the time right up to the ending bell, so that way we can maximize the day. So I feel very good about the work that our principals spent 2 half days in their busy schedule really going through this. I will tell you, it's like many things. One of the jobs they've done every year is create a schedule for their school. It's much harder when you have multiple people trying to create it for a district, but they did a phenomenal job with this. But with that being said, and they were taking obviously teachers' feedback and all their experience after talking with teachers, but my experience with this is no matter how good you do this, we have to be open each year to listening to our teacher about what's working and what we might want to continue to look at. And in my 16 years as a building principal, I bet it changed or tweaked slightly about every other year. It may be one grade here, one grade there. They would find even more efficiencies, but it was a learning by doing process. So what we're hoping to do for 26, 27 is to begin this process. My intention was share this with all of our teaching staff tomorrow morning, pending that if your questions were answered, and then begin having those conversations. And realistically, I will tell you, just in full transparency, as you guys know, I meet with all the CTL leaders of each grade level every year. I will be relying heavily on them over the course of next year in our triannual meetings of things that they are enjoying and then things that they hope that maybe we can continue to look at. In a perfect world, everybody would be probably about 80% happy with it and maybe 20% that they can live with. Because what this requires is that when you maximize your staff this way in the schedule, it requires that somebody has to go to specials first thing in the morning and somebody has to go to specials at the end of the day. It requires that somebody probably has to teach math or language arts maybe later in the day, and they are used to teaching it in the morning. It requires a lot of what I call sort of keeping the trains on time. You can't have teachers showing up to related arts 5 minutes late, and you can't have related arts teachers keeping students 5 minutes late because it really throws things off. And it really makes our principals are going to have to be not just effective and great leaders, but also this is one managerial piece where they'll have to look around the school and see traffic patterns and see the best way to maximize things. But at the end of the day, it's all in the spirit of providing our students with as much instructional time as possible without taking away some of the other parts of their day. They'll all still have recess. They'll all still have their 30-minute lunch. And then finally, the added bonus of it is by doing it this way and knowing where everybody's at, it allows us to maximize our instructional assistants and teachers for things like morning and afternoon duty and as well as lunch. So I can't praise the MTSS team and the administrators enough for the work they put into this. But I do want you guys to know that, as we share, there will be questions and we will answer those. I'm going to ask all of our teachers if we could learn by doing this year as we do it. There will be things that we will say, you know what, that sounded good on paper. Now that we put it into practice, we might have to go back and revisit. And it might be something as little as we're going to flip that grade level's lunch 5 minutes early to give kindergarten maybe a little more time to get there or to put their trash away, something as simple as that. But anyways, I just wanted to just share that with you. I wanted to thank our WCTA leadership and also membership. I've been able to share that with them to kind of keep them up to speed. Mr. Sleeter and I have had a chance to talk, as well as Michelle Whitehead, and I want to make sure that they were up to speed. They gave me some great suggestions and ideas as well. And then also our related arts teachers for K through 5 were able to give me a lot of great information on why certain things needed to stay the same. So as all decisions, some compromise was needed by all. And hopefully I'll be able to report next year how things are going and then maybe bring to you any changes that need fit. So I just wanted to share that information with you today to see if there was any questions.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Dr. Hoover. Are there any questions or comments? I think it sounds like, I think it's great. So thanks for all the effort that went into that.
Yep. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. At this time, I will ask board members and superintendents to share success stories from the past month. Dr. Atha?
Sure. So I know that we put it out there, but I just want to acknowledge again that the high school, Westfield High School, was named a model PLC school, and they joined Maple Glen, who was recognized as a model PLC school in the fall and September. So 2 of our schools, through their work, and the key to that is they had to, through that process, show significant impact for 3 or significant increases in student learning across all students for 3 consecutive years. And so so we are very proud of that recognition and the commitment, because that not only means the impact on students, but we have teachers who are committed to getting better every day and modeling that for their students. So wanted to note that. Also, we talked to some people recognized Marcy and Rob tonight. It was awesome. But I want to give a shout out to Debbie Krieg and Dr. Baldwin. Last Thursday, it was last Thursday, right? We recognized all of our teachers and staff who are retiring this year at a dinner. It was awesome. Well done, as every year. So we have a big class retiring this year, and so we thank them. And there's throughout this month, there are receptions and recognitions well earned throughout the district. So just thank you to all of our teachers, but especially those who, committed a big part, if not all of their career to us, and now they get to reap the benefits of retirement. And then the last thing I wanted to note, I was again able to go to the 14th American Pie on Friday. There were 28 acts. It's amazing. And our kids are so talented, and Mark Ewing and Kurt Frederick and Alexa, is it Sucharatsa? Did I say that right? Yeah. Are just amazing. And our parents and our community supports it with resources, and our parents and adults support the students with hours of practice. And so just, again, just wanted to note that.
I'm going to add on to that. We need to make sure that we note that the McDonald family was the evening sponsor for that event, and they're a great donor to the Westfield Education Foundation. And graduation is coming up, so make sure, get your parking pass, $10, Lot C, if you haven't already. And if you're not going, you can live stream it.
I want to just talk about the exchange students. My sister had a young man from Germany, and that worked out great because now every 2 or 3 years, her and her husband and some friends go to Germany and get an Airbnb and get one-on-one scenery and what it is really like over there and everything else. And then that family comes over here and everything else. Is just a great relationship.
Just going to mention that my wife and I got to watch her 2022 Westfield High School graduate from Indiana University on Saturday night. They had a really great ceremony as part of the class of 2026. They had fireworks and all kinds of cool stuff that we didn't get when we were there, but it was great to watch. So Westfield High School prepared him very well for college.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes.
I just wanted to give a shout out to class of 2020, Mr. Sam Ginder. He was one of the teachers that presented a Student of the Month recipient, but it just kind of brings home that we are, and he did his entire career. My boys went to Cary Ridge Elementary with him, went on to Westfield High School, graduated, and is now returned to our district and our community to teach. And I just think that's like the epitome of our mission, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I know he's not the only one, but he was here tonight, and it just made me think at the end of the school year, we've got kids graduating, and hopefully several of them will come back and become, members of our community once again. So. Any other sharing? All right. Well, I do want to note that our next regular board meeting will be held on June 9th at 6:30 here in this room. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. So moved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.